tell you what I am doing. As we kick off this video, we have 100 maps coming your way. Another 100 map session. I love doing these. I figure I'm doing them off stream. Might as well do them on stream and post the results to YouTube. And I like tinkering around with the strategy, see if I can sort of min-max a certain edge or get a certain edge on a particular farm that people may not have been thinking about. Today, we're going to look at quantity farming, more specifically quantity, and not too worried about dropping uniques. It is still magic finding, but there is kind of a difference between just magic finding in general and quantity farming. The reason why I want to explore quantity farming is because I'm finally going to step into Crimson Temple on stream. And if you didn't know, the Apothecary card is outrageously expensive. 67 divines, around there. Around 67 divines. Usually it's around 35 to 45 maybe this time of the league. But for some reason, people aren't farming apothecaries. They're not magic finding. They're not doing what they're normally doing, dropping these things right and left. So the price has gone crazy, and it's a great time, better now than ever, to magic find. Not only to magic find, but specifically to do it in Crimson Temple or Haunted Mansion, I guess. I like Crimson Temple layout better. And so let me tell you a little bit about this strategy and why it's going on this way. So we got the Atlas. Favorited maps, Cemetery, Beach, Crimson Temple, you know, just some sort of thing. I am not using singular focus. Whoops. I'm not using singular focus this time because I really want those extra 2 points somewhere. So we're not doing Wandering Path. I could be doing Wandering Path. It is very good, but I think this strategy is going to be a nice segue from, you know, the Cemetery, Brothers Gift Farm, into Crimson Temple. Going for the Apothecary, raising the stakes of the farm. And we're going to talk a lot about drop weights in this session, or in this intro, because a lot of people, when they begin doing a farm on Crimson Temple, they lose, it's understandable, they kind of lose faith in the Apothecary ever dropping if you have a bad RNG, especially right off the bat, especially if you're just trying to really get into magic finding and you're failing to drop that extremely valuable card. It can really be kind of upsetting, and you don't really know how to handle that, don't know what to do about it. Maybe you're just going to quit magic find altogether. I suggest some people try Cemetery or, you know, Beach, or farming the Fortunate card to get a better consistent route. That's what I focused on more when I was doing the Beach and then Cemetery. But now I'm going to have to ask you to have a little bit of faith that the Apothecaries will come, and to help understand how common or how rare the card is, we're going to be using the Gambler card as a reference point here. Now, I sometimes do this, especially off stream, to kind of get a sense of how my farm is going, the efficacy of a farm. Instead of counting Apothecaries, which is kind of unrealistic, I count a card that's very common drop, which is the Gambler card. And so it has a weighting somewhere around 600 to 1. I've kind of updated my projections based on some of the new stack deck info coming out. I haven't really seen much hard data yet. We're not gonna give you like a link to anything or whatever, but I'm kind of referencing the 3.20 Sanctum League stack deck spreadsheet that has existed since then, and I'm also kind of looking at some new updated stack deck weightings that don't seem to have the sample size quite right. Plus, I'm referencing my own 1000 Crimson Temple runs, which I did back in Sanctum League as well, to try to, you know, get a real solid projection. I think it's around 600 to 1 Gamblers to Apothecary. So we can argue about that, debate about that, but that's the reference I'm going to use moving forward, at least for the time being. So let me show you here. We got Strongbox as normal right here up the line. Don't need to be taking tamper-proof because it's going to be on a compass. We have all over here. Also going to be including Harbingers in this one. So this is the real comfy Strongbox Harbinger non-Wandering Path setup, basically. And then we're also going to be putting Ghosts in here. So it's kind of an updated version of that strat. I really liked doing this strat a while back. This is actually more or less the tree in the strat I did for 1000 Crimson Temple runs back in Sentinel League. When the first time I did it around then, it was a very fast, speedy, fairly low investment cost version of the strat. And in fact, the investment cost is only around 90 chaos per map on this one, even a little bit lower than in recent ones. Also got a little bit of shrine. Kind of the last point I put in was tried to get squeezed in the shrine to get covetous shrine, because I feel bad to do like non-wandering path and not have any chance to get a covetous shrine. Feels like that's a good idea. So we lose some pack size in the Eldritch Minions, which means we're losing some altars, but we get some of it back from Shadow of Hunger. Still had to invest in the 7th gate, because while I could put Harbingers on the map device, I did test pure Harbinger a little bit, and at least as far as the Divination card drop rates were, even with ghosting Harbinger mobs, it just didn't seem to quite cut it. So I still feel like I need to prioritize Strongbox over Harbinger. And so that's what we're doing. But every Harbinger node is taken. We will not be selecting Harbinger on the map device. We will still be selecting Ambush on there. Okay. And then we have, of course, the compasses and the Scarabs. So Scarabs will be +4 Harbingers, Torment, Strongbox, and Divination. So the one that is basically missing here is Reliquary, and this is what quantity farming means. It means I'm not focusing on unique drops. Almost certainly not going to get like a tier 0 unique drop on this farm. And so how did I get rid of the Reliquary Scarab? Well, that's where the Harbinger Scarab came in. So this will definitely result in more Divination card drop rates, because if I'm just simply adding 4 Harbingers and speccing Harbingers, you best believe that it's going to result in some more Divination card drop rates. Harbingers really aren't too bad at a yield of Divination cards for an investment of 1 Scarab anyway. Alright, so then we got Magic Pack Size still. I think it's going to be a real winner, especially for ghosting, as far as ghosting is concerned. Ghost busting, and then we have a Mysterious Harbinger, because sure, why not add an additional Harbinger, and let's go for some Fracturing Shards, some Fracturing Orbs while we're at it. Those League-specific rewards do add up, after all. Strongbox and Enraged Strongbox, so double Strongbox there. We have some Chaos over here on the left to cover the cost of Ambush on the map device. 100 times over. All the compasses ready to go. Yep. All in alignment here. No elevated compasses, no winged scarabs. I do tend to use elevated magic pack size and or possibly elevated strongbox corrupt rare when I'm doing this off stream. We got 108 mod corrupted Crimson Temple maps. Most of them are pretty easy going. Still on the Lightning Strike Raider, I had crafted a helmet, the Rarity Rage helmet, but in this case, again, not really using rarity, so I'm going to put Fairgrave's Tricorn back on. And in this case, the special update, or the really cool thing about this strat is I've kind of alluded about this amulet, how it's a very underrated amulet. So this amulet was always pretty good. People, I think it was underestimated even back in the day prior to this league. It was still pretty good with Strongbox monsters because this is an additive quantity or rarity multiplier to the player, as a matter of fact. And so most of the monsters that we kill on any given map are normal, of course, but people tend to think of, like, you know, the Legion Sergeants and like the boss is like the primary source of actual drop stuff. It's not really the case. Well, I mean, it is depending on what you're farming. But in the case you're just trying to get raw divination cards out of a map, especially in the event that you're using Enraged Strongbox to pull most of them out, you've probably noticed that the vast majority of monsters that spawn from any Strongbox are normal monsters. Some of them are rare, and a few of them, or a few of them are rare, and some of them are magic. But honestly, most of them are normal. So this is going to highly impact the increase or the yields from those monsters. Now, this, you know, some people ask, well, what about 10% Quan Amulet? What about 20% Eyes of the Great Wolf? Yeah, those are definitely very competitive in the grand scheme of things. However, this league, not so much, because the touched buff, the way it works is you can only touch normal and magic monsters, and every single one of those counts for a huge amount of increased quantity put on the monster, in the realm of even more than what Enraged Strongbox gives. So whenever I go around and I touch normal monsters, I'm essentially turning them into an Enraged Strongbox quality monsters. Kind of a way to think about it. And there's tons of them. I mean, it's up to 50 per Tormented Spirit that I'm using. And one cool thing about this strat is that because it's not Wandering Path, we get an extra Tormented Spirit, and we get a chance, vast increased chance to spawn additional ghosts. So non-Wandering Path ghost busting actually consists of more Tormented Spirit. Therefore, that should translate to more touched monsters in a given map, which I think in a kind of a way. I'm not sure exactly, but I feel like if ever there was a time when non-Wandering Path would really compete with Wandering Path, this is it. I mean, really, for a wide variety of different reasons, this might actually really compete with Wandering Path. I still think Wandering Path at the end of the day is going to be stronger overall, but definitely it's a good time to be doing that, and the maps are easier. And so this is one reason I'm bringing this strategy again, is, you know, I don't want to chuck you guys into, you know, the hardest atlas you've ever seen straight into magic finding, especially if it's your first time. Prefer not to do that to you. So, but this is a very good farm, comfortable farm, and it's going to make maps a lot easier than they would be doing Wandering Path. And plus, there's no delirium involved, and there's no beyond involved unless it, you know, it does roll on the maps, which a few of these do have it. But yeah, there we go. So that is kind of how we're starting this out. So 600 to 1 gambler to apothecary ratio. I do have gamblers on my loot filter. Let me pull out the chaos here first of all, and then we'll get started. Oh, sorry, almost forgot. Right. The investment cost, here it is. PoE stack 9,065 chaos. I turned the Crimson Temples into a cost of 10 chaos because they're 8 mod corrupted. And then I also have the chaos orbs in there. So this is going to amount to, once again, almost 40 divine investment cost, 91 chaos per map. And so we will, you know, input our findings at the end to see where this turns out, and I will, especially in this case, I will showcase whatever the true amount is, how much div per map, how much div per hour I make, and then we'll also look at a normalized amount to give a much better accurate reading, because honestly, when you're farming the apothecary card 100 maps, that is not a sufficient sample size. If you think you're going to farm 100 maps and, you know, you're definitely going to get an apothecary doing that, well, you've got another thing coming, because the chances are you're probably not going to. All right, let's pull that back down. Go over to game mode. As you can see, we got the overlay set up, so it's going to be fun to watch this live or to keep updates on the highlight reel. I know the highlight reel was actually pretty funny last time on Cemetery with the Brothers Stash, Brothers Gift drop, sort of competing, running in tangent together. We'll see. There's also 7 years bad luck and the Enlightened card, the Life Thief, that are somewhat high valuable cards. One other good piece of information for you. Typically, Crimson Temple is the best place to farm, or apothecary card to farm, so long as the apothecary is worth at least 40 chaos. I mean, sorry, 40 divines, 40 divine orbs, and then that allows it to outcompete Brother's Gift, because the apothecary is maybe somewhere around 8 times as rare as Brother's Gift. But then, you know, you also have the extra cards like Enlightened and 7 years that can definitely outstrip what Cemetery can give. And the Cemetery is kind of the best map otherwise for pure card drops. It is definitely better than farming the Fortunate card. So the general rule is more consistency means lesser returns in the long run. Less consistency, bigger returns in the long run. And so this is the biggest returns. I mean, especially now, it's just crazy how over what the price is on Mage Blood and the Apothecary. It really does make you feel kind of dumb to not run Crimson Temple. So I'm here for it. Let's do it. Ambush, first map, Eater of Worlds. Bolto says Apothecary farm is very important to be properly bankrolled because you'll go on dry streaks. Yep, absolutely right. Did change a few things in the build, actually. Got I got a Mage Blood for one thing, and then got an enhanced support connected to Berserk, and then moved this over here so I have very nice low cooldown, or sorry, high cooldown recovery on the Berserk gem. Okay, so I'm not really going to worry about hitting Ghosts yet. I don't really want to spawn the Influence until I get the back here, because I don't want altars to spawn up front. It is kind of important to try and be efficient with the clear on this. And, wow, that's a lot of loot. One gambler card in the boss room. I think one difference that is going to happen between some people's yields when doing these kind of farms is how well they're ghosting in relation to how well they're opening altars up first. So you see, I'm actually kind of skipping the ghost because these altars have a huge impact. Now, I did hit a ghost here, and that's all right. It's okay to hit a ghost sometime. It's definitely more important to hit the ghost and not lose it than it is to, you know, execute perfectly on the altars or whatever. Really don't want to be killing ghosts. We got a lot of King Harbingers right up the bat, so that's good. I probably killed that ghost there. Nope. Actually, I did get credit for that. That was surprising. I think this map is actually rather small spawn on the altars. Not getting many altars. Anyway, there a ghost died. Sad. But you can see there's a lot of ghosts on these maps. I think I'll go ahead and start opening strong boxes. We're pretty good on that. And get another. So it's actually better for me to ghost up normal monsters. Those are the most premium ones. And then it would probably be maybe like normal ambushed, or yeah, normal strongbox monsters, because I'm really tapping into Bisco's collar, that 50% increase quantity. By the way, there's a diminished returns on increased quantity. I'm not actually getting that huge amount of quantity. After diminished returns, my more true increased quantity is somewhere around 40% for magic, rare, and unique monsters, and then around 60% more loot from normal monsters. And I have I believe 65% increase quantity on gear, plus 50% from Bisco, so that's 65% and then 115% for normal monsters. But how that actually translates on the curve is 40% more loot versus 60% more loot against normal monsters. So it is a significant difference. You might not know that there's actual diminished returns, which means even just having a little bit of quantity or rarity on your gear is a really good idea. Going off the deep end and tearing your character's power level apart just for the sake of a little bit more magic find is usually kind of a bad idea. It's definitely good to be balanced in that way, because there's some pretty harsh diminished returns. Well, we can see a lot of gamblers are dropping. I'm hoping to see an average of at least 10 per map. I'm hoping for at least 10 per map. We're picking up a lot of these gamblers. Are you still seeing some uniques drop on my loot filter? Very strict loot filter. It is in the description of the video. Insane strict loot filter. That's the one I'm using. Harbingers will be fun to kill. King Harbingers, I'm sure, will definitely get at least one full fractured orb out of all of this. Those fracture shards are kind of hard to come by, but they're worth a lot, you know. They're worth like 8 divines apiece. The orbs are. Well, kind of typical lackluster drops here. Okay, the Life Thief drop. Now, the Life Thief is actually a pretty rare card. I think it's only about 4 or 5 times more common than the Apothecary. So, technically found a very rare card this map. It's just not very high value, unfortunately. And somehow there was a ghost left at the end that still alive. The last monster, basically. That's kind of weird. So, kind of missed that a little bit. But here we go. I mean, I got a full Ancient Orb. I'm going to get tons of Ancient Orbs and Shards when it's all said and done. We'll use dump tabs C and D, I think, for this. Hopefully it all fits in. And, yeah, here we go. 1, 5, 10, 11... Gambler cards that map. I think that'll be a pretty typical showing. So this is kind of a normal map here. Everything you saw in here. No real special drops or anything. But anyway, that's where we're starting. So stay tuned. We are bound to see some magic at some point. Surely in 100 maps, right? Something crazy. Maybe like 3 unnatural instincts in one map. I'd love to repeat that. King Harbinger got me like, oh yes, yes. Hit the cap, 4 shards. Off stream, I've been really unlucky with fracture shards. I mean, it's actually been a long time since I've gotten any to drop off stream, and I've done let's say a few maps But having said that, like the one of the few times that I got fracture shards this league, full orb drop. So, you know. Like I said, Harbinger mobs, they do drop divination cards. I mean, that was overwhelmingly obvious. That came from a Harbinger mob. It was not ghosted either. Well, actually, it could have been ghosted, but I don't think it was. I play the same build, but massive problem with single target. I kind of had problems with single target too. Do you have the mastery for nearby non-val skills? Strike one additional target off the multi-strike. Oh my god. Voidborn Reliquary Key. And I'm dead. Almost dead. Double ding. Got you a little double. Whoa! Loot Goblin. With the Reliquary Scarab, it probably comes out a little better. With no Reliquary Scarab. Do you guys realize how big that would have been with the Reliquary Scarab? I don't even know why that dropped so many. That was not a possessed mob. Maybe it was. I don't know. I don't think so though. That's really weird. Whoa. Got some Shroud Walker going on. Shroud walking on top of a King Harbinger. Sounds like a good time. Oh, it's over now. More King Harbinger. My god, almost every Harbinger on this map converted. Jeez. Alright. Dupe some gamblers, I guess. Sure. What? You dupe everything. You just dupe everything. Alright. Doopity doop doop doop. 3 Divine Orbs, that map. And a Dragon Heart. Oh, wow. Alright. We've hit the benchmark for 100 maps. At least it was not a dry session. The one thing I'm always a little worried about when I do this kind of thing and I'm like sitting here claiming, well, I should have got 1.7 apothecaries in 100 maps, but I actually got 0 because, you know, that never looks good when that happens. But luckily it hasn't happened to me in a long time, so that's good. The real question is, does it look good if I find like, I don't know, 3 or 4 on 100 maps? Does that look good or does that look bad? Because that kind of looks bad too, actually, but who knows what will happen. We'll just play it by ear. Yep. Sadly, no dupes, nothing. It was kind of early on. It wasn't even a Strongbox mob, by the way, you notice. Jeez. Oh, dude. 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 So close. What are you talking about? I was unlucky. I'm literally unlucky this map because it turned over the Exalted Shard, but not the Fracture Shard. So I'm officially unlucky this map. Always unlucky. Just always. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter what happens. You can always find a way to be unlucky. Any map. Take it from me. Same thing I did last league on Lightning Arrow. Oh man. Hallelujah. Where did that come from? Jeez. No Reliquary Scarab? Get a winged Reliquary Scarab? Okay. Hey, finally a Raw Divine Orb in 30 maps. Oh my god. Off the Harbinger mob. Not ghosted. Shit, I'm doing some crazy effing damage right now. I gotta be careful. Nice. Oh my god, get the third one. Third, where is he at? Where is he at? I don't see him. Oh well. Oh, nice. Ghost City up in here. Whoa, another Raw Divine. 2-in-1 map. Crayons again. I already got duplicates, and I got the. Well, I got basic currency dupes. Sephiroth, 7 years bad luck. What the heck? It's raining stuff. Oh my god. One of my absolute favorite things about Japan life is you never see people complain out in public. Oh, God. Oh, what the F? Dude, I had double Scarab dupes to 96% chance for Scarab to dupe. You know how crazy that is? How unbelievable. That's like 1 in 1,000 maps of 96 Scarab dupes. Alright, I can't wait to watch the replay on that. Must have been one of the Seance rares. That had to have been a Seance rare. Man, I keep saying, what in the world? This is like the weirdest thing about this whole farm is the Scarabs. The Scarabs, though. Gosh, I actually regret not going Reliquary. That must have been like 20 plus winged Scarabs for the taking with Reliquary. I think I should definitely do winged Scarab farm. Just get enough Scarab explosions, self-sustained winged Scarabs. That is a nutty amount. That's actually crazy. We're gonna see how many that is. God, that reminds me of that is serious God touch number there. Actually, like God touch numbers. And we got a second Voidborn Reliquary. Just because, why not? No. No. Possess me. Whoa! Veiled Chaos Orb Altar. Tier 0. Tier -1. Shit. Damn. Well, I'm definitely going to have a lot of Veiled Chaos Orbs in this map. More rare than the Divine Orb Altar is the Veiled Chaos Orb Altar. Twice as rare. I don't even think I'm going to get hardly any. It was pretty late in the map. So I don't really care. Uh-oh, we have a duped red star out of the Diviner Strongbox. That could be an absolute monster. Very high variability. It could be, it's probably a dupe Divine Beauty, but let's go see. I barely caught that off the side of my view. The duped Red Star Diviner Strongbox to the artist. Yeah, that's not very good. That's pretty much as bad as it could have got. The artist. Oh my god. It could have literally been duped Apothecary or duped House of Mirrors, but no. Duped artist. What the fuck? God. Man. Or duped Brother's Gift, actually. I got duped Brother's Gift off stream doing this strat before. Like the day before doing this. That would have been cool. I'd have been down for that. Let's get this show on the road. We have the results of 100 maps. Quant farming. Mainly targeting the Apothecary. We did get one. I was hoping for more than one, but one is satisfactory for what is likely outcome. I have dumped B, C, and D in here. So it did take up a bit of extra space, but everything is in order. We also have 32 extra tomes, which will be counted, about 4.5 divines. Counting them at a ratio of 1 divine to 7 tomes. I guess they're dropping in price a little bit. And yeah, we'll just move on down because I've already taken the snapshot and we got things working here. Let's just kind of graze through it. 1 Apothecary on top, 63 divines. Wow, that really? That dropped a whole 3 divines in one day. Okay. The Apothecary's going down, folks. Oh my goodness. 7 years bad luck, 12. Pretty good showing. By the way, you might not have known, but the 7 years bad luck and Brothers cards and Cemetery are basically identical drop rates. So, you know, 12 7 years is like getting 12 Brothers gifts or 12 Brothers stashes. So that's some good intel there. Give you some sense of how this might turn out on Cemetery. 12 Raw Divines. Also, I always tend to get around the same number of Raw Divines as I do Brothers Gifts too. So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense to see 12 and 12 match up there. 28 Fracture Shards. I figured I'd get at least a full Fracture Orb. So we did. That's nice. 3 keys. Not as many keys. Maybe expecting a little bit more. You know, the usual showing on sextants. And here's a big piece of info here. This is going to be the one for all you data statistic guys out there who are tracking your own drops to try to understand the efficacy of a farm. Tracking the drops of a more common divination card in the map. In this case, the Gambler. Very popular choice for Crimson Temple to track that card so you can see the difference in the quality of strats, you know, because as you can see, I got almost 10 Gambler cards per map. So if I try another strat where I'm also targeting Apothecaries and I only get, let's say, 700 Gamblers in 100 maps, I know that, whoa, that second strat's nowhere near as good as this one. I should go back to this one. So that is kind of why it's so wise to track these, because you won't get very good data just doing 100 maps trying to track Apothecaries alone, or even 7 years bad luck alone. You're not going to get very good statistical data, but this is a nice sample size. 970 cards. It's not going to fluctuate much there. So that is my result, almost 10 Gamblers per map. Which is, you know, almost 1.5 Apothecaries in 100 maps. Or I guess about 1.4 Apothecaries in 100 maps is what I should be finding. Because that's, you know, that was a really big point of contention. Here I said about 1 Apothecary in 600 Gambler cards. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was mistaken there. 1.6. Okay, 1.6 Apothecaries in 100 maps. So that would be like, what, 1 Apothecary every 60 maps? I guess, somewhere in there. Every 60-ish maps. 60, 70, somewhere in there. Trying a little math off the top of my head. We got the Screaming Invitation, Grand Eldritch Kickers. I definitely got a little lucky on them. A lot of maps here. let's see. Einar Memory, Crystal Prisons was a little bit of a lucky drop there. The Sephiroth, yeah, that dropped there. I did get a Veiled Chaos Orb Altar, but I also dropped a fair number of Veiled Chaos Orbs naturally. I think the Altar gave me 6. So here we go. We'll kind of scroll through here. And this is, you know, the rest of the bubblegum stuff. Ten whole pages of loot. A lot of this is kind of random maps. Now, am I going to sell every single one of these random maps for the aforementioned price? No, probably not. But I did notice in here that the unique maps, like I dropped a couple of Cursed Crypts, unique Cursed Crypts, they're not factored in at their real price. So I think we just kind of split the difference and call everything as it is. And yeah. So just kind of let that ride. Most of my strats are going to involve singular focus. I just really wanted those extra 2 points, so I pulled them out. And that way we're dealing with dropping a lot of different maps as well as unique maps sometimes. And also it's not going to count like Conquer, Elder Influence, and Shaper Influence map. Actually, it probably does count Shaper Influence maps. But the Influence maps that drop off the boss were also not factored in at their proper price. So I'm just kind of splitting the difference there. Okay. Well, let's get into the numbers. We got the 4.57 div extra for the tomes, 32 tomes. Investment cost of 39.41. Oh yeah, before I do that, we can see the total number here is this is the amount of chaos, amount of divines, gross, and the spread down here is actually kind of interesting. So I felt like, and you notice in the highlights, there are a lot of Scarab conversions. I didn't really expect to get a whole lot of Scarab conversions, but between all the operative strong boxes and Scarab conversions, I got a staggering 16, or almost, yeah, over 15 divines worth of Scarabs in this farming session. I did not expect to see a number that high. That was really, really high on there. And then the currency here, and then of course cards. Card breakdown here. It'll, you know. More than half of that is an apothecary card, of course. Now then, we'll go back down here and check out the gross number. Okay, we're getting a more accurate reading here if I do this. Wait, is a divine 231 chaos? Okay, 231 chaos. 173.08 minus 39.41. How many 7 years? 12. In 100 maps. Okay, so we got our net 133 divided by maps. 1.34 divines per map. And let's see, we'll take this, that divided by 100. Roughly 308 chaos per map. Net profit with 1 apothecary drop. At the time, it took a little bit longer to do this. Harbingers take a little bit of extra time, and of course it took more time because of the shrine, so it was about 8.5 hours to do all of this farm here, and that clocked it in at, interesting, back to, yeah, okay, 15 divines an hour. It's like most of my strats end up being, you know, right around there. Okay. But I did say I wanted to see the normalized rate. Okay, I did want to see the normalized rate. So to do that, I'm going to go back here and check the gambler cards. Because again, I think somewhere around 600 gambler cards equals an apothecary. So if I get 970 gambler cards, take it divided by 600. That means 1.61. Okay, so I just take 0.61 as an extra apothecary, 0.61 of an extra apothecary times the value of the apothecary, which is, I guess, 63.7 divines right now. And that will give me an extra 38.8 divines on top of the net profit. This is, again, a normalized profit long term. projected. And then if I take this number, divide by 8.5, suddenly it's looking at like more of a 20 divines per hour profit margin of this strat. Again, that's just looking at the time of actually running the maps and the hideout between maps and stuff like that with my character and how I ran things. So what do I think about that? Well, it's kind of to be expected. I was hoping for at least like around 20 divines. I was definitely hoping for more than what I was getting on with the beach strat and the cemetery strat. I figured it should be, even though I'm not doing Wandering Path. I was pretty sure with the value of the apothecary card being so crazy high that this would come out coming out somewhere around 20 divines an hour, maybe more. I guess the real question is the ghosting thing working out too well? So based on the strat I was doing here, I don't really see any major impact of ghosting on there. So I should factor in here, even though I'm not running the Reliquary Scarab, I guess, you know, I didn't really get hardly any uniques at all. I think a couple Lion Eyes Falls was like, that was about it. As far as the unique drops, yeah, no, it's really almost nothing showing up on the radar. Maybe to be expected without the Reliquary Scarabs, but that was part of the cost to do this strat. It was a little bit of an awkward strat to try and fit in the Harbinger and pull out the Reliquary Scarab. This will look a little different in a Wandering Path setup because I can slam extra mechanics onto the map naturally with their natural high spawn chance and fit in all the 4 major Scarabs I want to. And so I suspect it will look maybe a little bit better for Wandering Path. It'll be a little more suitable as far as juggling the Scarabs, because I really wanted to be able to use 5 Scarabs with this strat that I just showed you here. Alright, so that is it on that. Let's go back in here, and I'm going to get set up for a cool little gambling session, which is going to involve turning in a lot of gambler cards. Which is a gambler card turn-in is effectively a stacked deck dropping. So that's going to take some time, and I'm going to do that behind the scenes, so we'll get back to you with the results there. And hot second. Alright, that was a lot of fun. Not. My hands are tired. Turned in a lot of sets of gambler cards. Got, I think the Void was the best card I got out of all of them. So here's the stacked decks, a whopping 13. Wow. Wait, the chains that bind. Surgog says this card's worth a lot. I'm going to keep it. Surely. Here we go. Check the Ventors for 3-1. I gotta double check they're not any good. Indeed, they're not any good. Here we go. Oh, 10% reduce. No, one more turn in. Damn. Man, lightning res is so important. If only the rarity roll had been higher. I don't know. Let's see this. I'll have to check with, you know, with the lightning roll being so high. Maybe. Oh, this might actually be pretty good because the lightning roll is so good. And the lightning roll is premium. So I'm going to keep that. That might actually be worth something. Not too bad. It's always a good sign to see 10% and then nothing negative. Over here on the right, we got a selection of uniques. So you can tell right off the bat. I mean, these are the only uniques that are worth valuing. I had a way bigger selection worth valuing last time from any of the farms that involved Reliquary Scarab. The Cemetery farm had more than this. But a couple of kind of big ones here. A couple of Lion Eyes Falls and a Heat Shiver. Could be potential big bucks. Last time I got a +1 Max Frenzy on a Calm Spirit. So that was the big result there. Oh, I lost one of the Lion Eyes for sure. Ooh, we got a Corrupted Implicit on a Lion Eyes. Let's see, we got a Gold Worm first. Socketed Minion Gems. Now, movement speed is super huge if you hit this, but I don't think that's Honestly, it's not worth anything. Spell Critical Strike. This is worth something. Yeah, I don't know. 60 chaos, maybe. Damage penetrates lightning. Okay. Get a little bit up. A little bit up. You know, everybody's just playing lightning arrows using this anyway, so. Not too bad. I basically came out even on the Lion Eyes because they're worth about 50 chaos otherwise. So a little bit of value there. Nothing too big. And I don't think that's actually any good. Okay, folks. That's it for the gambling. Very short and sweet. And I'm glad I didn't waste your time showing the gambler card turn-ins. Let's give this video a final thoughts. So I don't think this is like the most efficient strat in any one particular area. It's kind of a mishmash of trying to do non-wandering path to make maps a little bit easier. Try to quant farm because the apothecary is worth so freaking much, while still trying to, you know, do more like one of my favorite farms from the past, which is Enraged Strongbox plus Harbinger to get some of the Harbinger drops, and usually that involves the Reliquary Scarab. But not this time, because we put the Torment Scarab in. But I still think it was a fun strat, and obviously proved to be quite lucrative. It's normalized currency around 20 divines an hour. I do think I can do better with a Wandering Path setup and getting the Reliquary Scarab back in, probably. Somebody asked, I kind of forgot to check this, but somebody asked what kind of currency did I make in this farm without any apothecary drops. That was a good question, and it came out to around 8 divines an hour, as a matter of fact. That was surprisingly high. I was surprised to see it come out that high. I think some of that was just maybe I got a little bit lucky on 7 years, although the spread looks pretty normal on that, so I don't think so. I don't think I was particularly lucky on divine orbs either. But the Scarabs, definitely got lucky on Scarab drops overall. Remember, 15 divines made up for Scarab drops. I think that's at least twice as lucky as normal. How many apothecaries do we got? I got one. I got one. So in this particular session, made around 15 divines an hour. Normalized looks like around 20. And it was 0 apothecaries looked like around 8. I mean, that's pretty good numbers even for me. Even with the apothecary being so incredibly valuable. But I do think we could do better. And I'm still not exactly sure how good the ghosting was for this strat, but this was I was focused on ghosting like normal monsters in the map, just to try to elevate every random monster's quantity multiplier higher. Next time, if I'm doing a Reliquary farm, I'm going to focus more on ghosting the Strongbox monsters specifically. That's going to be harder to pull off, but it should result in showering me with uniques like crazy. Perhaps have the highest chance ever of getting, you know, tier 0 uniques, or at least the highest chance in a really long time in a lot of leagues to see that happen. So that's the kind of thing I want to focus on. This new tornado win. Yeah, I have a pretty high bar for tornado shot. I'm not going to switch over on a budget tornado shot, so I'm not going to require a mirror de bow to start, but I definitely want to have a couple hundred divines worth of like weapon quiver, you know, massive wheel, thread of hope, that kind of stuff. Gonna need a little bit of cash to get started on how I want to start that build, but that will be coming around the corner. Lightning Strike is serviceable. It's getting the job done. It was a little bit weak against the Harbingers sometimes, and there were some deaths involved. But yeah, we're going to give this a try with some bow builds in the near future. For the meantime, stay tuned. You can watch me live on Twitch. I'll be continuing to farm Crimson Temple for sure, off stream a fair bit, and continuing to work towards a Tornado Shot build, which is going to be brand new. It's going to be a new Tornado Shot Magic Find build. We'll still feature Deadeye, I think. All right. Yeah, I did also tease possibly doing a 1000 Crimson Temple run again. If I can identify a strat that appears to be head and shoulders above everything else, whereby ghosting seems to be a big impact, I will most certainly do 1000 Crimson Temple maps again, so you can hold me to that. Only if I find a really good strat. Still looking, still on the lookout. we haven't got there yet. But try this one out if you want. It's a nice way to get from Cemetery into Crimson Temple and still keep the maps pretty easy. I think it's a good strat. Alright, well, thank you for watching. That's it for this 100 map session. On to the next one.